Hey, good morning. So, in previous 8 episodes, we discussed quite a few about gRPC, and we spoke about the unary pattern, and then we discussed about one gRPC server and different kinds of clients, and then we saw about logging, error handling, and then we saw the client side streaming, we saw the server side streaming, and then in the previous episode we have just touched upon the gRPC web and the gRPC web through Blazor, not through the JavaScript. We touched only the portion where we use this gRPC web through the Blazor WASM app. So we saw that, and this episode is purely focusing on the service to service communication. Imagine, and also we are showing the cross-platform stuff. So we have a couple of virtual machines spun up on one in US, one in European region. Both are Ubuntu, and my machine is Windows 10. So the different flavors of operating system and how do they communicate with each other. So that's the thing. Okay, so what do we do today? The agenda is first we will see the existing solution, what it is, and then what we will do is we will execute this gRPC service, the server component in one of the Ubuntu 1804 virtual machine. 1804 virtual machine. This virtual machine is in US East. Okay, this is the one which executes the server. And then what do we do? The third step is we'll see some portion in this is an Azure virtual machine. This is an Azure VM. This is a Azure VM, which is spun up in East, and we'll see some of the ports which has been opened up. Tooling. We'll discuss about the tooling and ports, what all the tools we use and what kind of ports we have opened up. So we'll go through all those things one by one, and then we'll face some problems and then we'll change the code. Okay, we'll learn by face some problems and then we'll learn. Then what we will do is we will use the Windows 10 machine, Windows 10 to communicate to the gRPC server, which is in Ubuntu. Okay, that's the one. This is the one. So we will communicate from our Windows machine. We'll communicate to this one because this is all. It's not a production ready system. It's just a way to communicate. Imagine there is an integration point where we have to go and integrate with the gRPC service, which has been hosted in some other operating system apart from Windows 10, and that's the story. So, and imagine this is thousands of miles away from India, so that's in US, and then we'll fix some of the code, fix code in this client apps. Okay, to communicate. So fix some of the code in this one, and the sixth thing what we will do is we will have another. These are gRPC clients. Okay, we'll use because this is again a Ubuntu which is in European region. This is in Europe. One of the virtual machine is in Europe. Now, if you see this communication is happening between three different boxes. One is in United States, one is in Europe, one is in India, and this Windows box is in. Okay, this Windows box is in India. So we'll see that communication, how things happen, and also we have the Azure. We have this Azure SQL. So, and also we'll see that we need to fix some portion of the code in fix or enhance some code in this machine. because we have to communicate to the server which is in US region, and then we have SQL Azure. Okay, cool then. I think we are pretty much we're pretty much done. So let's get going. So let's start. Just give me a moment. I'm sorry. And so as usual, the code is there in the repository, so you guys can focus only on the discussion, whatever we are doing. So here is the code. It will be in the speaker series under Vishy Pylor and XMonkeys360 and session 9, August 15th. Okay, this is the place where you have this repository. Okay, let's come back and in our previous session, this code is from the session 2. I just took the code from the session 2 and we will work on the same session 2. The only difference is between the session 2 code and this code is I just removed the Windows portion out of this. What does that mean is this code is exactly the session 2, whatever we completed on 30th May, the same code we are using, code base, except that I deleted this Windows folder. The 5 folder will not be there here because we are going cross-platform. Like we have Ubuntu, so Linux OS. So that's the reason I just removed that from the equation. We can use it only in the Windows, but as we are packaging this everything as a solution, I just want to be on the safer side. Let me check in some code and let's get going and see if at all something is missing or everything is working on the end. So let me build this for a moment. We'll see step by step. One by one, we will see that, right? And let's rebuild the solution. Okay, the solution is built, and this is an exact solution. There is no different. We'll not do any changes, except that once we face problems, we'll fix that code. Okay, we'll face a lot of problems, so that we will learn what we are doing and how it gets executed, right? So let's get going. Let me open a couple of command lines. One command line, I'll use it for the server component. I title it as gRPC server. Okay, and another command, I'll open it, and this command line, I use it for gRPC client. So I'll go to this one, CLS, and I give this title called gRPC client, right? So these two will use SSH to log into that virtual machines, right? So let me quickly go and show you that piece. And if you see this here is the virtual machine. I have the SQL Azure here, and I have this virtual machine. One, I'm calling it as Ubuntu VM for gRPC, and that virtual machine is in East US. And I have another virtual machine, Ubuntu VM for gRPC client, and that virtual machine is in Europe. Okay, as we discussed, one virtual machine is in Europe that purely we'll use it for server, and this virtual machine, whichever is in Europe, this we will purely use this for client. It acts as a client. Okay, so that's our infrastructure. So let's log into these boxes. I'll go first. This client looks like I didn't open that. Okay, so first let's connect to this gRPC, this machine, which we will be using it for server. Okay, so this one, let me paste it here. and let me come. So I'll connecting it to this, my password. Okay, so cool, it has connected. So let me clear this up and again go back here, and let's have this connectivity also. Even though we'll do changes little later, maybe it might take half hour to first establish a connection and fix that connection. It takes some time. So, I mean, let's do a lot of mistakes and then learn from the mistake and proceed that way. So, okay, so we have two virtual machines. One is gRPC, one is for gRPC client. So what did I install here is .NET list SDKs. I have .NET 3.1. Okay, and here .NET list SDKs. Okay, so we can use something known as Nano. This is a simple editor. I really like this. So Control X, jump out of that. So we have Nano, and okay. So let's start fixing this stuff. So I do an ls and cd into GitHub, and then I do an cd again and cd XMonkeys and ls, and then do a cd. Today's session is this, and we have quite a few folders now. Git status. So we are directly connecting to the master branch. Okay, so there are few things. It shows that in the working directory there were few changes on the gRPC server. So what I'll do is I'll just keep that as it is, and then create a new directory with today's date. mkdir 15th August 2020. cd 15th August. I'll clear it. So let me go grab this speaker series and get this code and git clone. Okay, while that is happening, so I can do that mkdir 15th August 2020 and cd 15th August, and I do a git clone on the client machine also, so that we have one copy at both the places. Okay, one in server, one in client. Okay, so we have it in server. So let's quickly see that. So let me get into that box, and now cd and session 9, and we'll see that we need to log into source v1. This is a folder, and here we have everything. Okay, so didn't I remove that? Still shows Windows. Looks like I forgot to delete it from here. XMonkeys, 1 second. Source v1. Okay, this exists here. Okay, I think it should not trouble us. If it troubles, then we'll come back and see. And the next thing what we will do is we'll do an. Here is a solution. We have server. So we have to execute server. Our focus is purely on this one. So what I execute is .NET clean. Let it clean the entire solution. I think it. I was expecting that. I thought I removed that folder. So no problem. It's confirm that expression. Okay, no problem. So let's quickly go and delete this guy. Okay, once I delete it, let me quickly go and Windows. Okay, let me check in that. Okay, cool. So we have removed that. So git fetch, git pull. Now, so we have server, console client, web API client, worker processing, and common. Okay, so .NET clean. Okay, it does clean. Then I'm saying .NET restore to bring in all those dependencies. Okay, there's one more thing here. Um, Actually, here it's all purely the case sensitive. So it will definitely, while building, it will trouble us. So here, if you see this, the server BLL, and here this LL is in capital, and here some reference. Um, it couldn't find that, skipping that project, right? So I think we need to fix that. Nano, we need to fix that. Okay, so NaNO. So let's go and slowly go to that location. I think here is the one, the server BAL. It's all capital only. Where did it find that? Okay, let's see that. Let's build it. .NET restore and okay. Source one, server one, call is BLL, and okay. .NET build. Yep, because it's not able to find this. Not able to find that BLL project. All projects are up to date, and let me check that real quick. Where is that? Yeah. Okay, is it inside the server project? Once again, I think. Is it inside this? Yep, it's here. It is here. Okay, so we can fix that there itself. So let's get into this folder, and then we will get into that gRPC folder, and we have that CS proj there, nano, and let's slowly scroll down, and here is the one which is having the lowercase l. So it's pretty much case sensitive. So I fixed it. So that's what, as I was mentioning in the starting of this session, we'll do a lot of mistakes and we'll learn from our mistakes. Okay, So let's come back here and we'll say that again, let's go back to the parent directory and .NET build. So the projects which it skipped it, now it is perfectly doing. So this is the first mistake. So there are a couple of other things which we will do, but this is the one. So the next thing what we will do is we will log into that because we have to execute the server. And I came here and then this is a gRPC server. So I run this in the Linux and let's wait. It executes. Okay. So technically it has executed this one. So using this public IP, I should be able to hit to this port. Okay. So the next thing is we have to come and verify. Did I open that port? That's a thing which we need to validate. So if I come in here, I have opened up this one, 5001, the gRPC 5001 port has been opened up. So technically I should be able to go and hit this guy. So let me go there and I'm copying this one. Okay. I'm copying this one and there's a public IP of this gRPC server. And then this, let's get the public IP of the client also. This is the public IP of the client. We'll need it in future shortly. Okay, so that's thing, right? So let's go and try hitting this guy. Yep. So HTTPS, this one, colon 5001. So we'll hit this and it's not able to reach, but we are seeing that the application is executing here. It's purely we see this, the application is executing here. Okay, so we can do one more experiment. One thing is I'll open up here and I have installed Nginx in this box. So Nginx port is working. Port 80 is working, but port 5001 is not working. We saw that the port 5001 has been opened up, and also we are seeing that port 5001 an application is listening to that particular port. So let's do further probe on that. Let's go to that one of the tools. There are multiple tools we can use it. Okay. The simplest thing what we can do is we can simply do the telnet. Okay, if nothing, what we can do is simply do the telnet of that. Okay, so let me go in here and telnet this port 22. Okay, it was able to connect. And now again I do telnet and port 80. Port 80 it is connecting. Okay, now again I'll do telnet port 5001. So we did this, it's not able to connect. So there is something, some problem in this one. So let's fix that first problem. So, okay. So let me first fix another thing. Nano app settings, development. I come in here and the first thing is I would just want to enable the logging because that will help us investigate what is at least a little bit of information. We'll get it little extra information. So our existing problem is still there. We'll come back and we'll fix it. But before that, let's execute this .NET run again and see that. So if you see that now it has started giving the gRPC started spitting this debug information. And what we understand here is we have one method called hello, which is coming from the greet proto, and there's one method called add professor, which is coming from college API proto, and we have add address, and that is coming from address server proto. So there are quite a few things which are coming in. Okay, so let's connect to this guy. So this, I mean, every time I do a demo, I just create a new SQL Server. Once the demo is done, I delete those, and because it's unnecessarily, it's costing. So just for the demo, I just create it and dismantle. Okay, so let's go to that folder. As a college DB, I open a new query in here and new query, and you can see that we have two tables. One is professors and one is address book. Address book has no records and professor has got three records. Okay, let's park that aside. And this is for the debug. Okay, now let's come and fix the real problem. The problem is we are not able to reach the port. Okay, so where do we need to fix it? We need to fix it in that properties. We need to get into the properties folder and nano. We come to launch settings, and instead of localhost, let's give 0.0.0.0. Okay, so I save this, and again I'll execute. Oh, into .NET run. Okay, so why I'm showing this way is the moment we do mistakes, we'll learn that pretty much. So we'll remember it for longer time. So that's the reason I'm doing a lot of mistakes, and we're fixing one by one. So it's all like this only. Now when you hit, see that the telnet is it's connecting. Telnet is connecting. Previously it didn't connect. Now the telnet is connecting. So that's one thing which was success. And the second thing is previously we used to go to this public IP with port 80, it was connecting, and 5001 was not connecting. Now let's do 5001. Now it is connecting. So the thing is that once we are hosting it, we need to use this. There are multiple ways. This is one of the way. 0.0.0.0 instead of localhost. Now it's allowing the connections externally. So you can see this, it hit that endpoint and it has given more information. Okay, that's good. So let's try now that the server is running. I think we should be able to hit it from the client. So let's come to the client, and before we proceed further, we need to fix the address. So let's grab this address and go and change this. Go and change this one. Okay, now we are pointing to the public IP. And apart from that, I think we don't need to change. Now the service to service communication is happening between United States virtual machine and PC from India. So this is the first communication, because here we have a Visual Studio. So that's the reason I'm using this communication. And then, we can test the same things from the virtual machine which has been created in European region. Cool. So let's go ahead and see that. Do we need to change anything else? I think this is pretty much. So let me place a debugger here, and I'll select this guy as the startup, and let's start. Boom. So it will not work. I'm telling. there is something which we need to fix it. Okay, where is that? Okay, so we can see that the client is established, and where is the server? This is the server, and I do an F10 here, and the moment I do an F10, it is failing. It says that SSL connection could not be established because this is a dev server, and the handshake is not happening properly, so it's not uh, able to recognize. You open up and you see this here. SSL connection could not be established. Okay, so this is the one. So little bit of one couple of lines we need to add it. This we used to do it in previous ASMX web service when we used to do in 2008, 9, and 10. During that time, when we face it, we will bypass that server certificate. So that's what it's not able to see open SSL. So we'll come in here, and when you paste it, so a lot of sites you'll come, and they clearly explain this problem. So how to bypass this? Okay, one of this is link is this one. So if you come, thanks to the author for this. If you come to the bottom of this, scroll little bit further until we face this problem. Yeah, here is the one. gRPC client. It's everything. We have it here, and yeah, this is the one. TSL SSL with gRPC. Okay, so that's the thing which was missing in, because I didn't install this server certificate and other things. So that is the reason we'll get this error. The exact error, we are getting the exact similar error. If not exact, it's a similar error. So what we have to do is we have to create the HTTP handler, and we need to server certificate custom validation callback. We need to bypass. We said that, okay, whatever the certificate which is coming, I'm accepting it. Okay, that's the thing which we need to add. Okay, this is the piece which is missing. Okay, so let's fix that. So I will stop this here, and let's go to the place where we are creating the creating this client. So I already did that yesterday. So let me get the code from there. Okay, let me go to that too and grab this guy here, these two lines. So let me paste those two lines here, and I'll get some extra space. So I just okay, and we need to bring in the namespace. The squiggly is gone. Okay, so we just created the HTTP client. Now we need to pass that as part of the gRPC options to this method call. So I'll grab this from here. Oh, right, that's it. So we need to create this. We used to do it in good olden days, 2008, around 2006, 7, and 8, where we want to bypass this certificate. We did that, and that's it, nothing else. And we need to create this HTTP client and pass it. So you can come and see this. Do a just remove HTTP client. I'll cut this and see this. This is the one HTTP client, right? So that's the one we are using it. Okay, I think all is well. There might be one more fix. Let's see that. There might be, if it is working well and good. If not, we need to add one more line. Let's check with this. Okay, so where is the server? Server is this guy here. So let's do an F10, and it's going to the server, and you can see that server is spitting the log. It has written an entry. Where is the control? Is it okay? So there is one more exception here. Cool. So let's do no problem. But anyways, it has it's not able to. What's that? There's one more error. I think we need to fix that second line also. So let's come and take that second line from here. This is the one. Need to add this second line over here. Just before we hit this, I add this app context switch. Okay, HTTP handler, HTTP to unencrypted support. Okay, that to true. Cool. So now that that's also done. So let's check that. Did it write any record? No, it didn't write any record. Okay, cool then. So let's give one more try. So two fixes we did it. One fix is in the client and one fix is this one. So now this time I do an F10 and it made a call. Oh, it's blowing off. Okay, so because because if you see this one, the connection factory. So the connection string is missing. So DB connection factory. So the connection is missing. So the communication is established, but the connection is missing. Okay, cool then. So let's fix that connection now. So where do we get this connection? The connection we get it from app settings JSON. Okay, so this is the connection. It's coming from the local host. So let's get the connection. Let's grab this connection and let me come in here and it's only till this. Once this is established, all is well. We can take off like anything. Okay, cool then. So let's execute it. Let's fix. We fix the connection. Now come back to the Visual Studio and let's give that a shot. Okay, now F10 and there you go. So see this 567027. That's an ID which was created, and you can see that here you can see this the insert query. It inserted that. Let's go and check the SQL over here, and there you go. This guy 56. This record has been inserted. Okay. Now what I do is I will. Where is this control now at this point of time? Let's come back to the console. It's asking, do you want to create a new record? I said that yes, I want to create a new record. See this, it's happening within fraction of a second. You're seeing that we created multiple records and that will come and see here. See that so many records has been created. Okay, so let me delete some of this records so that while creating it from the Postman, it will be handy. So I removed one. So I remove this. And okay, I think we can remember instead of wasting time. Let's do that one. Okay, so first thing is one communication we fixed it. How to do communication. So one thing is when you're using communication, we need to ensure that the endpoint should be proper. Okay, so this endpoint we have already tested it in the browser. This endpoint we tested it in the browser. Here we tested it properly. So that means that endpoint is able to reach the endpoint, and that's the first fix. And the second fix is this line. We added this, okay, and we are saying that HTTP2 unencrypted support. This is another line we added. I think we don't need that because this is only one line we need it. Now we tested it with one of the client. So let's test with other two clients also. Okay, I'll just keep this handy over here, these two things, so that we can quickly go and test. Let me open the Postman also and keep myself ready. Cool. So let's go and fix this web API client, which is another type of client which we were using it in our previous session. So let's go and fix this here. Let me fix this guy, that one. And the another thing is we need to have this. So where do we need to put it? We add an helper. So we need to come to that helper. This is where the things are happening. And bring in that namespace, system.net, and then grab this guy and add the HTTP options. That's it. So this one line should be quite good enough. That's it. So let's quickly build it. Build the solution. Okay, so because this is the guy whom we facing the issue, so I fixed that one also here because I don't want we to face this issue again in the virtual machine which is there in Europe. Okay, so I'm closing this. I think we are pretty much done with server component. We are pretty much done with console client. Now we are working with the web API client. Okay, so we did these two changes and I'm executing this. Okay, let it come. You see that. It's 5001. Anyways, we don't have. Let me see what is the port which I have used it in the Postman. Okay. Add professor for gRPC. Okay, the same port. Let's keep everything same. It's 443. So we have that ready. So now we're coming back to the controllers, and inside the controller, I am placing the cursor over here. Okay, I placed it, and as we are hitting that localhost 44363. Okay, that's an endpoint where we have this API running. And in the body, if you see that, this also we discussed in our previous session, because this is the Google Podbuff timestamp, and it's made up of nanos and seconds. So that's what we do it here. So let's use employee 15A. So this record is not existing. So let's verify that we don't have any record which is employee 15A. We don't have anyone here, employee 15A. Okay, so let's click this send, and the moment we click send, it's here. And let me get this server. Let me get the server over here. Okay, and I do an F10, and you see that a new record has been created, and I just click on continue. So it says that 9058 AC. So let's quickly come and verify that. Yeah, here 9058 AC. So employee 15A. So that record has been created. So it's all pretty good. Now you can see this, the communication is happening from REST API, which is acting as a client, which is there in India. It's talking to the virtual machine, which has been hosted in United States. Cool. So that's the second kind of client which we tested, service to service communication, as part of this. Now we do the same everything in European virtual machine, the virtual machine which has been hosted in Europe. We'll do that also. But let's test one more client real quick before we start testing there. So let me first fix the app settings over here. And after app settings, the other thing which we need to fix it is the helper. Here it is a different one because we're not talking to college API. Here we're talking to address client. So it goes and fills the record in address book. So it's a little bit different. So the only thing is I need to bring in the only thing is I need to bring in the HTTP client, that piece. I think that's it. So I think we are good. So and let me check another thing in the app settings. Instead of 2 seconds, I'll make it 8 seconds so that at least we'll get some breathing space instead of it. If not, it just bombards the database. Okay, cool then. I think we are pretty much done. So let me go back here and do a .NET run and let it run. And then the second thing is let's go and check the number of rows. Okay, so I'll do a little bit of cleanup now that we have some time. We tested at least a minimum 2 clients as a communication. Okay, so and also we see that we're not seeing any big time lag. It's all pretty much almost instantaneous. You can see that the moment we hit the record, it as inserting a row, we saw that. So that's another good thing about gRPCs. It's pretty much fast because the communication is happening binary. So we are seeing that advantages. Okay, so I removed all those records so that we can recreate these records from the Windows, the Ubuntu machine, which is acting as a client in a short period. Okay, so that's executing. So let's come back to this guy and I'll just start this worker service and keep this guy and the worker service. See this, it has created 1 row in address book. So you can see this, the second row it has created. So after every 8 seconds, it it creates. So this is in India, this is in United States. See this, it created a 3rd row. So we have 1, 2, 3, and it creates a 4th row. So I think we should have a minimum 4 records here. So we have the 4 records. So I'll just close this. So I think we have pretty much tested the service to service communication between 2 different operating systems. One is Ubuntu 18.04 and one is Windows 10. And Ubuntu 18.04 is in United States and this Windows 10 laptop which is there in India. So we see that how fast it was. Okay. So, but the key thing is our focus was mainly on the service to service communication, and we learned quite a few lessons. Okay, now that we tested all 3 different types of clients from the Windows machine, now it's our turn for us to test it from this client which is there in Europe region. Okay, let me check in this code so that I can bring all these changes, because what did we change here? That it was lowercase, we changed into uppercase. That was one mistake. And another thing is the local host, and we added this handler. I think this is not needed, but I'm keeping it there. And here again, the public IP address and the HTTP handler and gRPC options. Again, the same HTTP handler, gRPC options, and this one. Okay, few changes. Let me fix this here. Okay, cool. So now that we fixed it, everything, now I think we can test the communication between two Ubuntu operating system boxes. Okay, this is the first one. And where is the second one? Where you hit this guy is here. Okay, so clear that, and I say that git fetch what? Okay, ls xmonkeys session 9 cd source 1 ls. Okay, we have quite a few things. So let me clear and git status and git fetch. Okay, it bought few things and git pull. Okay, we have quite a few things here. So let me step back and again step back. Um, and okay, so let's redo that .NET clean. So let's take 1 quick minute to see what items we have completed. So we have verified that existing solution, and then we started working with the gRPC server that's on the Ubuntu 18.04 Azure virtual machine, which is there in East US. And we see the tooling. And the first thing is we saw once we executed it, we verified using the telnet. Port 22 was working, port 80 was working, because there was some other application on the other side of the table was listening to that. So we were able to successfully do a telnet. And even though we executed the gRPC server app in that virtual machine, but we were not able to do the telnet. Then the first fix, what we do is we went back and enabled the debugger in that app settings.development.json. And the next fix, what did we do is instead of localhost, we did that 0.0.0.0, and then we were able to successfully do the telnet. So we saw that. And the next thing what we did is we started communicating from Windows 10 PC, which is there in India, to Ubuntu 18.04 Azure virtual machine, which is there in United States. And the first problem the first fix, what did we do is we had to change the, okay, once the port was open, we were able to hit that endpoint. We tested with port 80, which goes to Nginx, and port 5001, which was for the gRPC service. And we saw that in the browser. If you recollect that, we saw that we were able to successfully hit that endpoint. And the second thing, what did we do is we changed the app settings of the client, the console application client, to point to that public IP endpoint. And then we started communicating. Then we faced an issue of that SSL, and we saw that in the in here in this .NET curry. Thanks to this author to giving this. So we had to create this HTTP client handler and bypass this server certificate. Okay, so that's what we did it. And once that is done, and again we tried to create a record, and we got an exception. And we went and saw the logs, and we found that connection string was missing because the connection string was for the localhost. Then we updated the connection string of SQL Azure, and then boom, the connectivity, everything was good. So we saw five pieces now. Now let's see this six, where we communicate from this uh, Ubuntu virtual machine, Azure virtual machine, from Europe to the gRPC server, which is executing in another Azure Ubuntu 1804 Azure virtual machine in United States. Okay, let's do that communication. Here is our guy. Okay, before that, I think let's do this this .NET clean, and we'll compile, and hope we are not will not face any problem. And .NET restore, and .NET build. It's taking time. Come on. Ooh. Come on, come on, come on. Wow, thanks. Okay, so here is our guy, .NET run. I'm executing the gRPC server. Cool. So let's come back to this guy and let's check CD2. Let's test the console client first. .NET run, and you can see this. You can see that a new record has been created. It is 6BC00. So let's come back here and see what is that. Yeah, 6BC00. Okay, now see this. I will place this side by side so that you can see this, how fast it is, a fraction of second. I can say yes. See this? Yes. Not, it's not taking. It's the communication between a virtual machine which is there in Europe and the communication between the virtual machine which is there in Europe and a virtual machine which is there in United States. See how fast it is. Okay, I say no at this point of time. So we from Ubuntu to Ubuntu. Previously, the communication was from Windows to Ubuntu, India and United States. Now the communication is happening between Ubuntu to Ubuntu. From one virtual machine is in the client virtual machine is in Europe, and the server virtual machine is in United States. And we saw that it's pretty much fast. In previous session, we used to verbally discuss that, hey, gRPC is fast, gRPC fast. Hey, where is the proof? See, we saw that. I mean, even though the records, whatever we are using is a small number of bytes, but we see this without a lag. Yeah, it's not a big virtual machine. Also, it's not a big size virtual machine. Also, it's a small size virtual machine. Okay, so that's good. So next we will test the web API client. Okay, uh, so let's do a CD, and do we need to do anything else? I think we fixed it everything there itself. We don't need to do anything. .NET run. That's what we need to do. Okay, it is executing. And again, you remember this? We'll face the same problem. So where do you need to fix it? This problem. Properties. Need to go to Nano. Launch settings. Okay. Right. That's it. Let me save this. I executed this. Okay, cool. Now we know the public IP of this guy. So I'll keep this two guys side by side. One is the server. At least I'll move this side so that we can see. And we know the public IP. Let's grab this guy's public IP. This is the public IP. And let's bring in our postman. And here is a postman. And let me change this public IP. Okay, so employee from Ubuntu. So let's check this record. We don't have employee from Ubuntu. We have employee 15A, but we don't have employee from Ubuntu. And let's keep this server. Let's keep this client. And let's get this guy postman. And I'll drag this. Okay, I'll keep it up. I'll keep this a little bit above so that we can see that things are moving. So I just click on, just focus over here. So I just click on send. So see this, there's a flash. And now I can come and see that the 26,700. So let's come back here. Where is this guy? Employee Ubuntu. Yep, here 26,700. So this is the one it is. So now we saw another communication from the REST Web API client, gRPC client to server. So this is the second one. So let me do a clear and bring in this side. Okay. So CD4. Now it's a worker service. So CD and .NET run. Do we have any records in address book? No, we don't have anything in address book. Okay, cool. So this and this. Let's start. Okay, the first record it has created. See this, it waits for 8 seconds. It creates a second record. See this, every 8 seconds it creates, because that's what we configure. So you can see this, those two records. But the thing is that the communication is pretty much fast because it's unsecure. It's going on HTTP2, SSL, TSL, and also the transfer over wire is purely binary. Even though our record size is small, but we are definitely, there will be an advantage. We can see that number of records are going in. So that's it. So for today, so let's quickly recap what are the things which we did it. Here's the one. Okay, so we saw our existing solution and we removed the Windows client from this mix because we wanted to test cross-platform. So that's the reason I removed it. And then we went into the virtual machine, which is in United States, Azure virtual machine, where I installed in both the virtual machines, the Ubuntu virtual machine, which is there in Europe, with Ubuntu virtual machine, which is there in US. So in both the places, I installed this .NET Core 3.1, and we started compiling. And one thing we learned that it is pretty much a case sensitive. And second thing which we switched on that debugger so that we can see that helpful information. And the next thing is we tested through telnet. Port 22 and port 80 were accessible, but port 5001 was, we were unable to access that, even though some application is listening on that port. on this Ubuntu virtual machine, which is there in East US. And then we went and changed this launch settings inside this properties folder. And, we removed localhost and we added 0.0.0. Then we were able to access it. And then we came and started fixing the client in Windows 10. We found that the SSL connection was not made. Then we bypassed the server certificate validation, and then we were able to successfully establish the connection. We were able to go and hit it. But the other problem was the SQL connection was pointing to localhost. We bought the Azure SQL and updated the connection. We were able to test it. Then we did the similar, applied the two server certification validation fix and fix that app settings to point to the public endpoint. And we were successfully able to test the REST API, which is acting as a client to this gRPC. And the next thing we applied the same two changes, the public IP as well as the server certification validation fix to the worker processing, and we tested that and checked in the code into the Git, and we went to the virtual machine which has been created in Europe, and we bought all those latest updates and did a .NET Clean, .NET Restore, .NET Build, and then we tested the console app client. So now the communication was happening from Europe to US through gRPC. We tested that console app, and then we tested that REST API, and again in the REST API we had the similar problem in the launch settings. We need to go and remove that localhost and make it 0.0 so that we will be able to hit it from our local machine. Now here this scenario is little bit three parties involved, because the gRPC server is being executed in the virtual machine which is there in US, and the REST client which is executing in the Ubuntu virtual machine which is there in Europe, but the postman is there in India, the postman client. So the request was, if you see this in the previous call, this is the virtual machine's public IP which is there in Europe. So this REST API is a client, gRPC client. So, but the postman, the request which is originating is from India. So now three people are there. So the Windows 10 operating system postman is making the request from India, and that request is going to the Ubuntu 18.04 virtual machine which is there in Europe, and that is this guy. And from here they are making a gRPC call to the server. So three parties are involved in that. So we saw that, and the third one was pretty much simple, the worker processing. And once we switch on that worker processing, this guy kicks in and start populating this address book. It just creates some random name, some random address, and this all this records it fills in. Okay, so that's it for this session. Hope you guys have enjoyed.